I'm unmuted. I'm here and unmuted. Go ahead, Jody.
No, you're unmuted.
I'm unmuted. Go ahead.
Do you want me to do it? Okay. Yeah?
Yes, I did not
Okay.
hear a response yesterday, so I didn't know that it was a yes. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay, so this is these are different ways to do whiteboards. There's a few different ones, and in fact, this one here was just added on as an optional one. Tracy, Erica, Alicia, and I played with it a little bit. We're not going to push it out to all the kids, but if you want to add it, this is an add-on you can have. So we'll start from the top. The first one is Jamboard. And Jamboard is, some of you might have used it already. It's built into Drive, just like anything else that you use in Drive. And if you share it in Classroom, you can share it with, that the students get either view, read or write on their own, or they can all be writing onto the same one. So if you were doing it something that you just wanted them to be able to see it, you could share your own whiteboard, and then you can be writing on it. There's a pen on here. There's an eraser on here. There's stickies. I don't know why they don't have text boxes, but they have stickies. You can upload pictures or search for pictures, and you can, this is like a little like laser pointer type of thing. So those are a few of the tools that are on here. Something that's nice about it is that it's collaborative, and you can give each student, if you had 25 kids working, maybe you would have each student or group of students writing onto their own page. So it's similar to slides, except for that you can draw on it easier than you can draw on slides. The second one is Chrome Canvas, and both of these first two ones are built into the Chrome system or the Google system, so they're easy for the kids to use. This is very similar, just different pencils, different colors, things like that. This also doesn't have a a text box onto it. And then the third one that I like, and Erica pointed out, it's not super stable, so you just kind of have to take that with a grain of salt, is this whiteboard.fi. And I'm going to show you how it works, and then if some of you want to join it, you can see what it looks like for a student. So if you click on this and I say new class, and I'm going to just call it, let's say, Greenspan, and create new class, what it does is, if any of you want to go to this link right here, as you start creating, so this is my whiteboard, and you can see all the tools on here. This one does have a text box, and it does have drawing tools and markers and things like that. But if I go to my class, if anybody, you can see Faraz has already put one on here, and if he starts to draw on it, you can see that's live. So if you were sharing that with kids and you were asking them for the answers and you wanted everybody, that's his signature. It's going to be worth something one day. Superman is also joined. So if you wanted to share this like I'm sharing it, and you wanted everybody to show their answers, the other thing that I like about this is you might be, embarrassed, or you might be worrying about kids being embarrassed about their answer, if it's wrong or whatever. So you can still see their names, but if I click on hide names, now while your students are using it, it's just anonymous. And then if maybe later on, after the kids have logged off, I can turn the names back on. So this is not linked with whiteboard.fi. I mean, this is not linked with Google. Pointing out that now that more it's free, and free is often, not ready for this amount of people. So, it's not going to cost you anything to use it if you want to give it a try. And then the last thing that we just added is this, there's a link here to the whiteboard add-on, and you can see on my screen, when I do this, I don't know if you can see, but there's a whiteboard right here. And the nice thing about this one is that you don't have to go anywhere else. Oops, so right here, when I click on whiteboard, this pops up. And so I can draw on it. You can also, if I click on this is where I can put a text box on, I think. Yeah, so now I can add a text box. The only thing, and then if I want to save the text box, it goes right here. The only thing about it is I think you can only do one text box at a time for right now. This guy who made it did it for free. And when somebody asked for like a update, he said, this isn't my job. So I'm not sure how fast he's going to make updates to it. But, you know, if you're just trying to show them something really fast and you don't want to have to go to another site, that if you add this add-on, it'll be on your Meets thing. It won't be there for the kids, but it'll be there for you. So those are the different options for whiteboarding. I'm going to stop now and just see if anybody has any questions about that. No questions. Fantastic. Okay, so then, still no questions? Okay, so then the next thing that we were going to go on to was breakout rooms. And again, I'm going to share this slideshow at the end. So you'll have all of these different links. But he's on here because he talks you through one of the ways to make a breakout room. And I have to be honest, I was last night watching my daughter do a breakout room with Zoom, and it's a lot easier to do with Zoom because it's built in. But one thing about Google is they are very good at taking suggestions, and they're always kind of continuously improving. So I wouldn't be surprised if they build it into Meets eventually. But for right now, the easiest way to make a breakout room is if you go to meets.google.com and you start a meeting. So let's just say that I was going to have 4 groups. So I could put Greenspan 21, group A, and I create that group. Now, one thing you might want to do once you've created the group is right click on it and pin it. And what pinning does is it moves it over here and it makes it so I don't delete it. Because if you look, I have all these different links open. So it's often I'm just kind of clicking around and deleting things. So if you pin them, then you're less likely to do that. So now I'm going to make another one. And I'm going to another Greenspan 21B. And now that's my second group. And maybe I'll pin this here too. So now I won't delete those groups. And so then after you've done that, what you want to do is you're going to go to you're going to create a doc. And in the doc, and you can do this however it works for you, but in the doc, I'm going to make a table. And I can say group A, this is going to be Jody, Jack, and Sam. And then group B, and then Hannah and Brad and Fee. And so when I have these groups here, if I take this group A, I copy this link and put it here, and I make that a hyperlink. And then I take group B, and I copy this link, and I put it here, and I make that a hyperlink. And then in this third column, I might say, research all the ways music helps us. And this group might be researching all the famous musicians. So you can give them a little bit of kind of information about what each group needs to do. Somebody yesterday said, can you leave this blank? Yeah, you can say, if you want to be researching the music, put your name here. If you want to be researching the musicians, put yourself here. And then these guys go to the 2 different groups. And then once you have these open, two things that are important is one is you have to be inside of the meet in order for other kids to join it. So kids can't join meets unless you're inside of them. And then the other thing you want to do is you want to mute yourself. And on here, I'm going to show you an add-on that you can put to mute the tabs. But if you look right here, this is right now is not muted. You can see my mouth is moving there. But if I click on this, you see the M there? That tab would be muted if somebody was listening to it. And this tab right here would be muted. So if you were kind of doing a bird's eye view and going to check on all your groups, you would go from group to group and mute the group and listen to them. And then you would mute them back up. You'd go over to the other mute group and you'd unmute them. The other thing you probably want to do if you're doing this is you probably want to record your meeting, because that way if there's a problem while you're in the other group, you and the kids will see, just like you're seeing, you see the big REC, so they know that everything they're doing is being recorded. So I'm going to stop there and then I'll show you another way. So Jill did this today and she said it worked. Jill Bielski did this today and she said it worked fine. It was a smaller class. Are there any questions about creating those or why you would create those? No questions. Okay, so then the other way that you can do this is if I go into Classroom, each of your classrooms has a URL that goes with it. So this is my help desk. If I go here, this is kind of your general classroom. And you can see that right here, how it says meet.google.com, it says lookup. If I change this right here to something like Greenspan _2, that becomes a link. And then I can do that, take off all these names and do Greenspan _3, and then that becomes a link. And so when I click on that, each of these become their own Google Hangouts or Google Meets. And see, it put the same name that I put at the end there. The thing is that once you leave that, you can't rejoin it, or they can't rejoin it. So that's how you would make those two different ways to make the breakout rooms. I have to pull my slideshow back up. See how I closed that? And did anybody have a question while I reopen?
Yeah, Jody, I had a question. It's Barry.
Mm-hmm.
So how you can be in all of these sessions at the same time?
So you can have them open, just like you can see on here. Are you still seeing my screen?
Mm-hmm.
So you can have them open.
Well, wait. I see all the people.
Okay.
Yeah, but do you see the tabs she's showing you way up at the top, Barry,
Here and
on the
here.
left-hand side?
Oh yeah. I see. Okay.
So
Yeah.
you can have them open and just kind of rotate between them.
Okay.
But that's why you would maybe have the record button on, because you can't be there in every single time. So if and I would maybe before I left or before I explained it to them, say, I'm going to be popping in and out between your rooms and listening, but everything you're doing is being recorded. And then that way they know that if they were inappropriate or whatever, it would be recorded.
Okay.
It's a little tricky, and we talked about this yesterday, and we'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to the things to think about. But the recommendation is that we're not doing that. These kind of meetings are called synchronous because they're at the same time. We're not doing that many synchronous meetings just because kids have a lot of things going on, and you don't you just don't want them to feel bad if they can't be there. So I don't know how often you would do this, but if you did want to do it, the directions are in this guy here. He explains everything that I just explained, and then also we're recording this meeting, so you can go back in and watch it again. Every slam that we do is all put onto the district YouTube channel, so you can always go back to those and watch them again. So are there any questions about the breakout rooms?
Well, I know one suggestion someone had that I thought was interesting was this would be kind of a good use by administrators, like if they wanted to put you into your different groups. You know, if you had a SIP meeting and sometimes those break off into different groups and then come back. You know, things, you know,
Yeah.
just think about it. Think about different ways you might want to use it.
And I think Alicia said Frost or somebody did that for their staff meeting, is that they all started together and then they joined a breakout room by team or grade or whatever. So it's definitely usable that way. Has anybody ever seen it on Zoom? It's actually pretty cool. Like, she just drops them and presses a button, and then all of a sudden everybody flies to their own room. So, but maybe one day we'll have that, but not yet. So that's breakout rooms. And then this right here, these are the other how-tos. This is muting. That's what I was showing you, how right here on this top, if you want to mute them, because if you did have 4 breakout rooms open at the same time, you don't want to be hearing 4 groups of kids talking. So when you're not in the room, you click on that, you'll see the little M for muted, and it'll break, and you'll do a breakout. The link for that is right here. How to add the breakout, the mute tab. There's an also right here, if you want to take attendance, this is an add-on that you can put on to meets. Obviously we're not taking attendance in the real taking attendance way, but if you just want to know who showed up, so that you know who you want to reach out to and send them the link to the video or whatever, you can see this is lit up in red right now, and that's because it's active. If I was over on another one, it wouldn't be lit up. And so the link for that is right here. Just yesterday, there were a few updates put out, and so I just linked to that. They actually, I think, they rolled out the idea of having the Brady Bunch type thing, and they also, these other things, and then this noise cancellation. A couple of minutes ago, or earlier, I was outside, and there was the guys mowing the lawn, and it's supposed to be helping to pull down some of that noise. And then I already talked about how you might want to pin your tabs just so that you don't close the meet while you're in it. And then the last part here are just different things to think about. I know yesterday when we had this meeting, Cooper and London have already talked a little bit about, I know Barry and Lisa and Jill and a lot of the exploratory teachers have classes that overlap because of the way the schedule works. I don't know if you want to share how it's been working at your school or how you've been setting up norms for meets. Or Erica, if you want to share what we heard, what Cooper's doing.
Sure. So we have a master kind of spreadsheet, and so each grade level can go on and put the meets. At first, the expos were just going to write theirs in too, but that just became too cumbersome. So the expos actually came up with a rotating schedule of their own for how they're doing it, and then they're checking it against the grade level SLAM schedule, or not, just Google Meet schedule, and then making sure that the students aren't in too many meets in a day, and that the minutes aren't piling up on them.
Right, because the background on that is that there's students who, there's students who love this, and I know that I'm looking at some people who had meets already, and the kids really like seeing each other and all of that. But then there's also some students who it's intimidating to them, or or they can't, it's just hard because of their Wi-Fi or whatever. So you just need to be respectful of that. So far, Holmes hasn't come up with anything formalized, but we can talk about it later. but it's just a good thing to be mindful of, and just make sure the kids aren't getting overloaded with so many. This right here, Amy McCall made with norms for Google Meets, just different things to keep in mind. This is linked into the slideshow, so she said you can steal from her, or just make a copy of it and make it your own. The kids all have this grid pushed out to them, which I guess it doesn't matter anymore because Google is going to do it. The other thing is, in my grid, if you see this enables screen capture mode. When I click that, all of your names should be going away. I don't know why they're not, but they're supposed to be going away. And that's if you're going to take a picture. Sometimes people take pictures for, to put up on Twitter or something. I'm going to ask why that didn't happen, but your name, well, you can see that if there's a picture of us, our names went away, but I thought it was updated so that even if you were just watching, it went away. But for the kids, you want to just make sure that if you're posting anything, you don't want to put their name out on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that. And then, this is just a conversation that we've had with some teachers, that they were talking about, do the kids need to have their cameras on? And really the consensus has been that the kids can do what they're comfortable with. I'm looking at this group right now, and almost everybody has their camera off. And some of you have your camera off because of bandwidth, and some of you just don't want your camera on. And I think it's okay for the kids to have their camera off. Even if they have their camera off, they can still be using the chat, and they can still have their microphone on and be part of the conversation. And then the last thing was an interesting conversation, because at first there was a teacher who was saying that they're having two different periods do the same thing. Could they do their meet at the same time? And originally I said yes, but then the administration says that you have to follow the schedule for the classes. So, that's another thing to keep in mind. So that's really all of the information that we had, unless Tracy and Erica wanted to add anything else if you learned today, or that you wanted to just add in.
Nope, sounds good to me.
Are there expectations about reading? Okay, so this is my opinion. Well, so it says that you are welcome to record your class. I would say there's two good reasons to record your class. Number one, because if not everybody can show up, if you're doing some kind of like academic type thing, and you're explaining about a project or something, then that way you can post it in Classroom later for the kids who can. The other reason I would record it is because, especially, and I didn't talk about this, but I'll talk about it in a second, especially if you're doing something that you are the only adult in the room, I for sure would turn on your record. I don't think anybody's going to say anything, but it's just protecting yourself. And the reason I said that you might be the only one in the class is because there's a lot of teachers who are just leaving and I do this too, just leaving this open the whole day. And you can turn off your camera and your microphone, and you just leave it open. And then if kids have a question, they can pop onto it and they can ask, instead of the whole emailing back and forth and they didn't understand what you were saying and all of that. If you just leave it open, when they come in, you'll hear a little ping, and then you can start recording and just save it. So I think if you read what the district says, it says something about you are welcome to record. I think that it's a good idea. It's not like it costs you any money, and it gets saved automatically to your drive, and it has a date and time stamp on it, so you could find it later, or you could rename it like Conversation with Bobby or whatever, so you could find it if you needed to.
Yeah, a lot of our teachers are giving maybe a 10, 15-minute launch or an explanation of what they're doing, and then they just say, okay, for the rest of this block, I have my tab as open office hours. So that then it's not open all day, because I know that that's a time commitment most of you cannot do because you're going to your next block. But then for the rest of the block, they did mention that, oh yeah, a kid popped in, I talked to him for 5 minutes. Then then they popped in, someone had a different question, I just took care of it. And they just ran record the entire time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Katrina was just asking about if you should record the breakout rooms. I definitely, since you're not watching it the whole time, would just leave it recording the whole time. And I don't think anything will happen, but that way, you have a record of what happened and who said what. And also when you record on the side and you get the recording sent to your drive, it also sends you a transcript, including the comments on the side of the, everything you guys are writing on the side is being sent to me at the end too. Faraz, you had your hand up?
No, I was just giving a thumbs up.
Oh, okay. Can you turn off and on? Yes, you can. And I think it makes different files if you do that. Greg?
So earlier today, I tried to show my class a YouTube video, by sharing my screen. And for the first class, it worked. But then the second class, it said that my presentation was muted. So can I unmute my presentation, or did the kids in my first class just not tell me that they couldn't hear it?
I think it might be choice B.
I think it might be.
Yeah. Well, here, let me ask you a question. Melanie, today when I was showing that video to that student, do you remember if when I was playing it, was the volume playing or no?
It was.
It did come through.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like, could I hear you? Is that what you're asking?
No, remember that video I showed that was showing him how to remove his account?
Oh, you know what? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
Mrs. H, do you remember hearing the video? I'm not sure now.
I don't think that it plays.
Can you try it real quick?
Sure. Here, I'll play a video right now.
Here we go. This is going to be 4 hours long.
Oh. Play the video the district sent out about the teacher with the class online. Yeah. That was fun.
That was, but so is Fish.
Okay.
Are you hearing it?
Not yet.
No.
All right, well, it's playing right now, so there's your answer.
Here's my answer. Those kids, those suckers. Ha!
They didn't.
Actually, I just I'm not presenting I am presenting my screen. Okay. Yeah. So
yeah, we can see it fine. It's just we heard nothing. Yeah.
So that's that. Anybody else use it and have any? The students should be able to share their screen just like we do. I've had a couple of students who said it didn't work, and Melanie knows about one of them. And we just don't know if it's user error or it could be their Wi-Fi isn't strong enough to do it, but the kids should be able to share their screen.
Yeah, I had a lot of teachers today were having a lot of their own personal Wi-Fi issues and not really realizing it. And so I think if you know you're going to have a heavy Google Meets day, you probably want to restart your Wi-Fi before the day begins. And I'm talking just unplugging it from the wall, counting to 25 or so, plugging it back in. Because it just seems like I feel like these routers in our houses are hanging on to things, like these packets with Google, and I think they're getting a little clogged up. So that's something to think about too. And also, when you know you're going to be on a Google Meet, if you can carve out that 15 minutes just for you and maybe make sure the other people in your household aren't heavily using the network. Little things like that are going to help you if you're having some freezing issues.
Yeah, I've found, and if you think what's happening right now is basically on my computer, if you all had your video on, I'd be having 16 videos playing at once. So it's just a lot of data, and we all have, decent Wi-Fi packages, and some of our kids don't. So just something to keep in mind. And that's another reason that it'll be fine for them to keep their camera off if they wanted to. Anybody want to share or any other questions? While you guys talk amongst yourselves, I'm gonna find Eric. Can you entertain them?
With what? Stories?
Sing or something?
singing? What are you looking for? The
Well,
C
Lisa, do you have,
thing?
yeah.
Why don't we
Or
ask
do
them
either of you
if
have it?
anyone's tried the having kids share their screens in Google Meet? Has anyone done that? Yep. No. Okay. It was a shot. We're not saying you should have. We're just trying to figure this out while Jody's
Yeah,
finding
I
it.
mean, I know that I sat next to Sam while he was able to share his screen, so I know that it's not blocked for them or anything. I just don't know. I just don't know why it's not working for some kids.
Thank you, Melanie.
I had a student that couldn't do it either, so she just shared the document with me. That we were in a Google, we were in an office hours, and and then when she shared it with me, I then presented it, and we went through it together that way. But it was just me and her. So
Do you know? Do you know why? What happened when she tried to share it? Like for this student, he said it was grayed out. Did she say?
no, when I asked her to share her screen, she just started to panic.
Oh, well.
So she might have like not even given it much of an effort at all. She's like, I don't know how. It's not going to work. And I'm like, okay. So it was, yeah. I haven't even done a Google Meet yet with an entire class. I had tried to do a Google Voice call with her, but she didn't have a phone. So she kept emailing me and asking me if I learned how to do Meets yet, if we could please meet, because she really was struggling. So, so it was just like my first attempt at it, and so I didn't really push her to try.
I'm still trying to find this. Trace and Erica, if you, because I'm not finding it right now.
What you're looking for the CPD
form? Yeah.
All right, let me look. I filled in our attendance already.
Okay.
The form.
So I guess I'd say if you don't have any other questions and you don't need the CPDUs, that's pretty much it. If you want to wait, if you have questions or if you want to wait just a second, we'll get the CPDUs linked.
Hey, I just looked it up, and apparently you can cast through Chromecast videos, a YouTube video into a Google Meet. So
well, there you go.
So there you go.
Well, let me try it. Hold on a second. This is now you'll get to hear it. Hold on. YouTube. So let's see. So if I click, what I'm doing is I'm right clicking.
CCSD 21. Oh, I'm not unmuted.
See, in the past, cast showed up, but it's not showing up for that. I don't know. Do you want to try?
I didn't watch the whole video, so I'm not.
Oh, because normally what happens is you right click on the thing and there's a thing that option is, oh, I know where it is. It's right there. Let me try one more time. Hold on.
I'm not finding this thing.
I just messaged Alicia.
I saw it, but it shouldn't be this hard.
So then if I go cast, and I cast it to where? Looking for devices. It just said looking for devices, and then it stopped spinning. Yeah, if I find a way to do it, we'll share it later, but I don't see a way right now. Oh, she just sent it. Okay, I have the form. Or did you put it already?
I can put it.
Okay.
I'm copying it.
You don't think the kid seeing I might? Yeah. So so another thing is what Debbie's talking about in the chat is that there was a math teacher who said that when they were doing when they were writing and doing a screencast, that the letters and the numbers were coming out backwards. And so then I showed another way to do it, but Debbie's saying that it's not. Now, Debbie, when you're saying it's not backwards, are you talking about on a Meet, or you went and asked them about the screencast that you did already?
It wasn't on a screencast. It was just as we were talking, like on a Google Meet.
Oh, so
because that's what I have whiteboards that I bought that I could put on the wall, or I have chart paper.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just write and show them how to do math. So I just held up paper at this point, and they could see everything just fine.
Yeah, Meets won't be backwards. She told us that.
Okay.
But I think it was, I don't know what Shannon was using, but whatever she was using, the numbers were coming out backwards. So if we're pre-recording it, then I think it was coming out backwards.
Oh, okay.
So Tracy put the link on the right. So if you want to get your CPDs, there's the link. Besides that, we'll stick around if anybody else has any questions. And then obviously the three of us are always just a hangout away if you're stuck while you're working on it. I'm going to stop recording.